Or actually yelling.
I'll talk very quietly.
There you go.
How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
We are live and ready to go whenever you are.
Okay.
Okay. How about we do a quick roll call? Emily Doran on Zoom. I'm going to just go down the line.
Bobby Hempling.
Barry Docambry. Colin Harvey.
Brian Ryder, present.
Okay.
Matt Sheehan.
Right on time. Get through?
And Emily Collin, just for, because this is a Zoom meeting and she's joining virtually, we will need the person running the meeting to be here. So Colin, we might have to have you run the
Yes.
run the meeting.
Just tell me what official things I need to do.
All the usual.
Well, start by running the meeting.
Step one.
There you go.
That's all right. So does that start with the consent agenda first?
Nope, public comments.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too.
So you just read that?
Call the meeting to order at
You need to call
We
the
got-
meeting to order.
call the meeting to order at 12:03 p.m.
Okay. Calling the meeting to order at 12:03 p.m. Public comments. Citizens wishing to address the RCDC for items not on the agenda will be received at this time. Any comments? Doesn't seem to be. Okay, move to the consent agenda. Discussion and possible action on minutes from the September 12th, 2022 RCDC meeting.
On item, let's see, item 6 of the minutes. We've got Brian Ryder move for approval of what's on page 17, which doesn't seem to me to be very descriptive of what we did. That was the moving, that was the approval of amendment presented to have our meetings on the second Monday at noon instead of on Thursdays at noon. So I would amend the minutes to say that I move for approval of the amendment presented to change the date to the second Monday at noon. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you're willing to take a vote on that amendment, we'll make that update before we get it signed.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
With that, I will move the minutes approved as modified, unless somebody else has anything else to.
Nope. I'd second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we cleared for the regular agenda? All right, first up is discussion and possible action to approve the administrative services agreement between the Rollingwood Community Development Corp. And the City of Rollingwood as amended at the September 21st, 2022 City Council meeting.
We,
Actually, we got something she's gonna tell us.
I'm happy to, okay, I'll go ahead and get it started.
Hold on.
The
Hold on.
reason why this and item 4 are back before before RCDC is because a modification was made at City Council. So if you'll remember when we brought the administrative services agreement before the RCDC, there was a request to include legal services in the agreement. We figured that was probably something we could do, and once we brought it back for further legal review, we realized there's a separate legal services agreement with the RCDC, and so we weren't able to put that in the contract, so we needed to go ahead and take that back out of the contract. So the City Council approved it without the addition of legal services, and so we're bringing it back today to make sure to get y'all's approval on that as well. And so you'll notice at the next item when we bring that up, we've just did a separate budget line item for legal services, so that way we'll just be paying those straight out of the RCDC budget as opposed to approving those through that administrative services agreement.
And that's a fixed fee at this point?
We put 5,000 in. Honestly, I think it's maybe been 4,000 in the last couple of years total, so we don't think we'll get near that 5,000. But just to make it clean, we took 5,000 out of the administrative services agreement amount, which was 77, put it in legal services, so that way y'all would be covered there, and just amended the budget accordingly. So it's the same total amount in your budget. We just moved it out of that administrative services agreement because y'all do have a separate letter with the attorneys to represent the RCDC.
So now the administrative service agreement's 73,000?
It's now
72.
72,000,
72,000?
right? And then the legal services is 5,000.
Estimated
Yes.
estimated,
Well,
and
it's a budget.
that's plenty,
That's a
yeah.
budget.
It is not a flat fee
Right.
agreement.
I mean,
It
if
is
we
an
decide to
hourly.
take on some contentious project or subject again, God knows where this goes, right?
Right, and it'd have to come back for your approval
Yeah,
to
But
go
the
above that.
72 is fixed.
Right,
Yes.
Okay.
for this year.
Yes.
But so this first item is just to approve that, services agreement with just the legal taken out of it. We had added legal services
Where,
in under.
where is the legal services agreement? Is in the, it's
It's
the
a
next
different,
item?
separate agreement.
It's in the packet, it's the first, it's item 3. And at the previous RCDC meeting, I believe it was asked to put under, item 3, or one of, item 3 or item 5. 5, or,
And I don't believe there's a legal services agreement in the packet
Six.
because we simply have a letter of engagement with
Right.
the corporation. It is not an agreement or contract.
So that's not here.
No.
no,
No.
no, it's just in the same engagement letter that they've been working off of for
Legal
the last
services.
couple of years. And like I said, I think since Denton Navarro came on, I don't think we've spent over 4,000 in the last 2 years, but I think we just, to be safe, we put 5,000 in there.
What did we spend the year that we had a lot of turmoil?
I
That-
think that was cumulative, to date was under about 3,000 to 4,000, so.
Okay.
If it ever were to exceed that amount, it would come back to you all in the
Yeah.
form of a budget amendment.
Understood.
So,
Yeah, and this was all related to the highway development support stuff, wasn't it?
No, that's separate.
no, that's the
That's-
MOPAC legal expenses,
Okay.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that what this is saying is, hey, you need about $5,000 forecasted just for any kind of miscellaneous legal fees that are not associated with specific project.
Mm-hmm. Just the hourly rate for meeting attendance and for review of resolutions and everything like that, projects, so. And that will go up or down depending on the activity, the amount
Mhm.
used will go up or down, but the 5,000 should cover us for the year, so.
Okay, so we need to approve each of these separately, right? The budget
Just
move.
two.
Right, yeah, we'll start with number 3, just to approve that ASA, Administrative Services Agreement would be the first
Where's
one.
the $72,000 number up here?
It's,
That 72, you'll see it in the
It's the
next
88.
item, that copy
Yeah.
right there of
Page
the
3.
budget that I provided. I printed it out because it wasn't in the packet. But that right there on page 3, which is.
This is that reduction. Remember, it had been at 88,000 for years, and
Yeah, and
David
years.
proposed bringing it
2
down.
years.
Okay, I see.
Was it only 2?
Yes.
And then we
Right.
proposed bringing it down.
To 77,
Yeah.
but that would have included legal fees, so now it's 72 and legal fees are 5,000.
And that is, I believe we had pulled the actual amount from the agreement and had that agreement tied back to your budget,
Yep.
which was approved by council, and council had approved the 72 and the 5 in your budget, which is that next item on the agenda.
Right.
All right. So we have a motion to approve the administrative services agreement adjustment.
I so move we approve it for $72,000 as amended.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I second. Aye.
Aye.
We got 2 seconds. This one really passed. Okay. Next item is for the resolution approving the 2022-2023 RCD budget as amended.
Yeah, okay, it says we're approving what's on Exhibit A, and Exhibit A is blank.
That's
Here it
Exhibit
is.
A.
This is
Okay,
it.
is
Right
this
there.
Exhibit A?
Yeah,
now?
Yes,
that's
that's
it.
Exhibit A.
Yeah, this is our budget.
Colin, did we take a vote? We got it seconded many times, but we need a vote.
We did.
I think they took a.
We voted.
We did.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Said aye.
Yeah.
There's a lot of laughing going on.
Okay.
There was no nays, only
Trying
ayes.
to be more serious around here.
It's always fun to approve budgets.
Yes.
Control yourself.
So on this second one here, we'll be just looking for, action to approve that resolution approving the budget. Like I said, y'all did approve your budget. Between then and when it went to council, we discovered that the 5,000, the legal need to be pulled out separately, so we made that change here. And this would just approve that budget, and then you're good to go for the year.
So is this handout entirely,
The budget.
that's the budget?
Mhm.
Yes,
So this is Exhibit A.
yes.
Do we have any other discussion, or can we Move to approve.
I think Brian's looking at it.
So we're projecting 200,000 in total
Revenue.
revenue. $20,000 in business promotion.
And we're at about 192, I think,
92,
year to date.
5. And then these items.
Council week.
Okay. Okay. The understanding that the handout was, today's handout
Yeah.
is Exhibit A. I'm comfortable with approving the management services agreement.
Very good.
That one, yeah, that one's been approved.
That's what we
This will be
just
item
did.
That was a
four.
72,000.
Right, yeah, the ASA didn't necessarily need a number in it. That was really just that change to remove legal fees. Now we'll be approving the numbers here, the 72
Yeah.
and the 75.
Yeah, let's just make it clear.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the overall budget. Before that, we just approved the line item, but doesn't mean we approved the actual budget.
Right.
To Brian's point.
Mm-hmm.
I so move that we approve the budget as presented in Exhibit A.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Do you have it?
We didn't have everyone say aye.
What's it?
You have to say all opposed to.
Oh, sorry. All opposed?
Nay.
So it was
So we're just one. It approves. It passes.
Yeah, the ayes win.
It's always one.
It's approved.
You're number 5.
All right. Sorry. Okay, the update on city council action on RCDC items. So this, just our general initiatives, I think, updates.
Emily.
Yeah. And we just threw this on here. I don't think we've had a meeting since the city council formally approved all the different RCDC projects that were proposed to them at the end of the previous fiscal year. So they did approve the MOPAC legal services expenses. They also approved the commercial code update in accordance with the comprehensive plan. So that's all those code updates that will affect the commercial area. And then last, the mobility, connectivity, and safety plan. They did approve that 55,000, so those are now projects that you're authorized to take care of in your budget. The only one that got sent back for further review, which I think everyone's aware of, is that park amenities / improvement
Yep.
project that we've been working on. So that's some of the next items to talk about that. That's been sent back to park to talk about and to get with some RCDC members in a subcommittee, so we'll let y'all give that update. But just wanted to let you all know what all got passed at the city council level.
All right, I understand that to be correct, and Barry and I then appeared at a park commission meeting. Basically, in talking to city council members, we got a little bit overly ambitious, would that be a good term, about what the money, we budgeted 11, or proposed 11,000.
Yep.
And it was for coffee and hot chocolate service at ball games, plus the possibility of using it for perhaps other things like a vendor presentation over a weekend in the park or something like that, and maybe rental of tents and something in some vague terms of doing other things to enliven the park. The question was, what was that to be, and who was going to run it, et cetera, et cetera. That got tossed to the park commission. Barry and I appeared at a park commission meeting, Barry in person and me by Zoom, and we heard their concerns. And since then, I have had meetings with Tom Farrell and George Kofer and others about this, and then a meeting with Mary Elizabeth Kofer and Virginia Johnson, Victoria Johnson of the Park Commission. Nobody is opposed to the idea of either using the concession stand building, which has never been used as a concession stand, to the best I can tell, or a table or two out under the roof there on that side toward the fields for something like a coffee and hot chocolate service at ball games. I never did get a response from the Little League or the girls softball about their schedule, but I understand from Victoria that there's nothing to happen until February or so, because they don't have anything scheduled between now and getting their program going on an annual basis in February. So I sent around an email, or I sent an email in, but I didn't put everybody on it because of fear of violating the Open Meetings Act. Saying that what we should do is take the 11,000 and reduce that to 3,000 for coffee and hot chocolate and associated snacks at ball games. And then I had proposed that we adopt, but it's not in front of us today, but I would propose that we take the other 8,000 and use that for some park improvements, particularly for drainage up here, because we have since then approved the bonds to do a remodel of these facilities, to add the police facilities, and that's going to require some drainage prevention work up there in any case, because that water's going to come down into the area that we would be building. But that's not anything we need to address right now. So the only thing I would suggest that we do, since we have some time, is I'll redo the old $11,000 proposal of a project. Barry and I can work on that, and to make it a $3,000 coffee and hot chocolate arrangement under the eaves over there, and then run it back by council. And if we want to talk about doing something about park improvements and drainage, which I think we should, we can do that next month or January or whenever, and treat these as on separate paths.
Yep.
Barry?
Yep.
Brian, just point of order with all of you guys, when people want to watch these, if anybody wanted to watch this, they probably weren't able to pick that up on the mic.
On the mic?
Yeah, you might want to just really be conscious of speaking directly into the mic so that it actually gets recorded well. But anyway, sorry.
Can you hear Emily?
I could hear everything just fine,
Okay, good.
but
What's the
Got
timing?
these fancy mics.
What's gonna be the timing on the remodel of this building and the additions?
0.
They've approved the bonds, that's all I know. They have to sell the bonds and do the planning. I would guess it's going to take
Year or two?
part of a year.
Okay. So that could
so
be next
Brian and
budget
Barry,
next
can I ask a
time.
question about the coffee or hot chocolate? I think the piece of this that I'm just concerned about is the accessibility, right? I understand wanting to have it where underneath the field house there because of the setup and everything. To me, it's easier in a parking lot where people can kind of walk up in and out, so that's the only piece. I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a pickle where we've set this all up and then, the people that are going to the dog park that day are going to go, or only, the families that are there for Little League are going to go. So I just want to make sure that we're thinking about the accessibility piece.
Barry, I'm not sure I understood what your concern is. If we just put a couple of tables under the existing covered area there and run a electric cable into the concession stand, maintenance building, whatever we're calling it, so that they can power a pot for to make and keep coffee warm. We're not adding or subtracting any accessibility that we've got now.
I think it was more so of just, is it as visible from where its current location is, say here, to the parking lot that's here, but ultimately the goal is to use that concession stand. So I think that's...
Okay, so that's what I guess my question is, right? Is that the end goal there?
Well, that's part of the goal. I mean, the other thing is to provide that service amenity. I think in addition to what Brian's saying on that $3,000 to secure it, we have to promote it and everything else. So there's got to be some... We have to do our job to pull the neighborhood in, but I think putting it in the parking lot would kind of defeat the purpose, at least in my mind, of what we're trying to achieve.
I'm not planning to use any part of the parking lot.
Okay. I wasn't there, so I'm just,
And
I'm up. playing devil's advocate and asking questions.
Part of the project would be that we go over and talk to Panera and we talk to Trader Joe's and find out if any of the local food service operations want to do this before checking. I've got a list of 3 other commercial operations that do this kind of thing that I have just preliminarily asked if they'd be interested, and they all said they would. But before doing that, we're supposed to be the Rollingwood Community Development. And so
Right.
Get them involved, yeah.
Actually, I
would
think
try to see if they want to be involved, and I mean, they can, in addition to serving the coffee and making a buck doing that, if they can sell packages of coffee or teas or and try to make a few bucks doing that. That's the whole purpose of this, is to expose the convenience for the moms and dads and little brothers and sisters of those playing, but it's also an effort to get local merchants to have some visibility to our people who are attending there. Frankly, most of whom are from Westlake, not from Rollingwood.
right.
What is it? What is the typical timing for the baseball schedule? When are games typically played?
Well, I don't have the schedule. I mean, they haven't responded to me with a schedule, but they typically have tryouts in February, get things organized in March, and they have this. They basically try to get their program in before the end of the school year, because at the end of the school year, everybody goes off to do vacations.
I just meant whether they were morning games or not, if that was the
They
majority.
usually start up about 8 a.m.
On Saturdays.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
mornings?
Yeah. I was just curious the time of the day, because I mean, I thought a lot of the original intent of this was about all the people that use the park space and stuff like that. It seems much more anchored at Little League.
Well,
Which
yeah,
I don't know
because
that I care. It just seems
it was
different.
because we had a captive audience there. So this was, remember, we were trying to try all this out to see if there was an appetite. So this is the crawl, walk, run.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this is much
that's it.
more
This
just-
This is the crawl.
Yeah. So that was
Very
fine.
much the crawl. See if there's anybody, if they're interested. If there's nobody interested, if they don't come and buy some coffee, the heck with it. We'll just close it down and go to another project.
Actually, one question I did have, and actually, Brian, maybe you might be able to answer this, but when the youth leagues go through this process where they sometimes have their own food service truck and things, what is that process? Just from my own
I have no idea.
education.
I have a hunch they didn't tell anybody the last time that they did it.
That was roughly what happened. My understanding is.
But moving forward.
No ask, no tell, no ask, yeah.
But okay, so that's fine. They did that one time, but is that the way the agreement is written, where they don't have to ask? It's theirs for.
I think they have to do the same process everybody else does, which
Right,
is
yeah,
actual.
I don't think it speaks specifically to any, other events, but that was the only one that I'm aware of they've had in the last couple of years. I think we'd have to.
Yeah, I was just thinking more long term about
Right.
conflict, make sure that they're not planning something. And I know
It could be,
that
it could
for
be
the-
together too. I mean,
For their opening day, the girls softball on opening day last year, there were 2 events.
okay,
But they did this, they did something last year. One was they had Chick-fil-A come and just with a cell and a table and some, a cooler full of sandwiches, and they did that at their opening,
Yep.
their opening day. And then toward the end, on their closing day, when they had a big, audience there, they had the, barbecue and turkey leg truck, which is the one that started setting up and running generators and making noise about 6:30 in the morning and got people across the street upset. And then later that day, and frankly, I talked to those guys, and they weren't wild about how much business they did anyway.
yeah, of course
Later,
not.
they had one person in a truck, just a truck that sold ice creams and snow cones and whatnot, and that was marvelously successful. That person said that she was just operating, as fast as she could.
Yeah, I just was trying to understand the process. That's all.
I don't think there was one.
So we need to just make sure we find the right vendors that meet the market demand. That's makes perfect
Oh, yeah,
sense to
we're
me.
Just experimenting.
Yeah.
Okay, so your suggestion is to go back and rewrite that, and then we would review and approve
I
that.
would rewrite that, bring it back to us. Hopefully, we can get a quorum for a December meeting and approve it then, send it to council in December and on a truncated crawl basis, get approval of a project and be ready to go in February or March when the Little League and the girls softball crank up.
Sounds good. I think we can move.
The only thing I wonder is, are we pigeonholing ourselves, or are we pigeonholing any type of activity by saying it's coffee and hot chocolate? Are we saying it could be open to snacks, drinks, coffee? You know,
Yeah,
everybody's very
I would like
little
to do it that way.
around here.
You're correct. We need to open it up at least to that, to the snacks and whatnot. I'd frankly, like hot toddies and margaritas, but I don't think that'll fly. So, but yes.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Not
everybody's literal, and so if we say coffee and hot chocolate, then somebody will complain that it's Cokes.
If they're selling Cokes and
Yes.
Kind bars or something of the sort.
Right.
Okay, I'll broaden it out and send that around to
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks. We ready for the next one? So, discussion of intent to continue to serve on the Rollingwood Community Development Corporation.
There's 3 members.
Yep, this is just our annual item for everyone whose terms are expiring. You will notice here, people don't always take up a full term, so we don't normally have people leave at the end of a term and someone join. So we have a few people in here who haven't even, served a full term, and yet they're up for their term currently. So we don't count those against anybody if they serve a half of a term. Normally there's a 3-term limit or a 6-year term limit, and so I think, like, for example, Colin, you've only been on a year, so this wouldn't count against you for a full term, but we are just wanting to make sure that everyone is still willing to continue serving with us, and we'll pass these names on to the city council and have them do their reappointments for RCDC for January. So if y'all are...
How is the list looking for people that wanting to serve on our esteemed council?
I think we have a couple. I think we have probably 2
Okay.
that have RCDC on their list. We'd have to double check, but we have probably 6 or 7 people in the queue to be on a board or commission right now,
Got
and
it.
they can decide which ones they're interested in serving on. So there is a bit of a list. So, but just wanted to get verbal confirmation from those whose terms are expiring, as well as anyone who's not, to make sure. But we have Colin, Bobby, and Barry. So if everyone wants to keep going on, we'll pass you on to the city council.
Sure.
Bobby Hemphley would like to continue.
Wonderful.
Yep, I think is this my second or third?
This will be your 3rd full. You've done 2.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I'll go one more.
all right.
Yes, I'll continue.
Sweet. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Okay, on to number 8, discussion to consider a program welcoming new businesses to the commercial corridor.
So this, Emily, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, sorry, someone said something in my rear and I wasn't sure who that was. Was that you talking?
No, I wasn't talking.
Got it. Yeah, so this was an item that I think I had talked to Emily about and brought up last time. But basically, as RCDC, I think we should do a better job promoting new businesses that have come into the area. So this was either some type of promotional activity regarding either our paid support or some type of way to let people know, hey, we have this new business in the Rollingwood Business Corridor. So my thought here was we would allocate a certain amount of funds, which I don't think we actually finalized. But
Correct.
but-
we did
but
not.
it was
We did not
more
talk
like
about specific
a
amount.
welcome packet to the community. So like we do with a new neighbor, but this is like, hey, do we run them in not really like the
It's
statesman.
not
and-
advertised in the Westlake Picayune anymore. It doesn't seem to come around.
Correct. But how do we let people know about new businesses so they
Yeah.
want to come
Yeah.
here? I think that was the intent of this. I mean, Emily, I think we need to kind of finalize this and present what that program would look like. I don't know if we're ready to vote on it per se, but
No, so this item was really for us to bring it up to the group
Yeah.
and have a discussion.
I think it's an excellent idea. I think the process would be that we just have to make it a project, and since I'm doing a description of the tea, coffee, and kind bars project, I'll write up something, Barry, I'll send it to you, and you can edit, and we'll make it a project, and we'll make both proposals in our December meeting to adopt the projects and send them to the council so that we've got some money. What do you think you're gonna need to do? You print some flyers and send them around?
yeah, I mean, I think
Distribute
it's
them
something.
somehow to the city. I don't know.
Yeah.
Other than running something in the American Statesman, and I'm not sure anyone, I didn't get my American
So,
Statesman this weekend.
The Tribeza magazine is a good one. It's a coffee table magazine. A lot of people put that in their home. So like for Julian and Gold, that would be an appropriate spot. Now for like Loverboy Pizza, for example, probably not an appropriate spot. So I think it really needs to be focused in on the business and the clientele that they bring in, and sort of what are the best. Is it the Statesman? Is it Tribeza? Is it flyers in people's mailboxes? You know, so that we have some depth of where we can go on, depending upon the actual business that comes into the commercial corridor.
I'm all for it. What do you need to budget it for? You know, pick a number.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Emily.
I think like $2,000 just to start, and just to give us some room there. I can't imagine it's going to be more than that.
Per business, though.
Right, but we've only had 2 new businesses come in, so
right.
I think as more businesses come in, then we can make it a project. Is that fair?
I mean, could you take, just out of curiosity, so we're gonna repurpose the 11,000, why not take some of?
Take all of that, just designate it.
Just designate it to that.
Sure.
Now.
Okay, that's fine.
Plan on $2,000 a business as a budget, you know.
As a budget item, yeah.
And you carry the project for the next, year and.
Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens.
So that was, basically it was a budgetary item that we needed to have a project for to basically pay for marketing outside of what the businesses would normally do to help them. So that would require us both welcoming them, but also directly engaging with the business that we would do anyway. But just making sure we don't overstep or don't do something they don't want to do.
Well, also make sure that residents of Rollingwood know that the
Right.
new business is there.
Of course.
Yeah. That'd be
I
the
mean, we have a new
primary
doctor's
purpose,
office
yeah.
in the neighborhood. We have Julian and Gold. I mean, the Loverboy, which is just now starting to get traction. There's been a few spots, so we're helping them out, and the more business obviously that comes through, the better.
Yeah.
What is going on next door to the Shell station?
That's an architect, I believe.
Is that what okay.
I'm not sure if he needs our support.
I was just going to
But we
propose
could
if it's
even
a,
use that money just to distribute. If we could ask the businesses, if you have a packet that you would like distributed, we could use the money to distribute packets and do things like that.
Basically, what we would be using money for would be either printing more copies of a brochure or printing up a brochure and then the distribution cost.
Seems like the most RCDC thing we could do.
Yes.
But I could be wrong. Because you want to say something, so maybe I'm wrong.
no, I was just going to say, I've seen it done. It's like a small business incentive program.
Yep.
And you allow the business to it's more of a reimbursement. You allow the business to tell you where they've expended additional dollars or funds since coming into your community. And they provide that information to you, like you're saying, like Emily has said with, that specific magazine. I mean, they may come to you and say, hey, we're new here. We've put out additional, promo ads and information up front in these catalogs or these magazines within our industry. And we feel like we're applying for some reimbursement for that as a promotion for the city of Rollingwood.
The thing that I'm hesitant for exactly the co-op standpoint is it's not additive. So they have their own budgets, but I mean, our goal is to grow Rollingwood business, not necessarily Julian Gold or some other place, right? So I think we would want to have our own branding on it in addition to the whoever we're promoting. Just maybe not RCDC, but like Rollingwood, like
City of Rollingwood.
yes,
Rollingwood welcomes ...
yeah. So it's twofold.
Seems like everybody agrees we should write that up as a project.
Yep.
Okay.
Emily, we're good on writing that as a project and voting on it next meeting?
Yeah, that sounds like a
Assuming we're all
good plan.
approved by council? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, next up is Go ahead.
Megan, what is the protocol if I'm drafting up the definition of these projects? Can I just run that around? Can I send
Run it
that
through.
email to everybody?
Run it through your staff
Send it
and
to
let that
City.
and let them distribute.
Okay.
All right, I think that brings us to RCDC financials through September 30th.
There we go.
This is going to be the last financial statement for the fiscal year 21-22. Total revenues for the year was $191,113.52, and total expenditures was $94,730.54. Bear in mind, these numbers are not audited. The auditors will be here latter part of this month, first part of next month, and so they may be making changes from their audit report. So again, these are unaudited numbers. They're basically right now on the cash basis. So the net is that your revenues exceeded your expenditures by $96,382 for the year. Any questions?
And then the available money, the total equity and revenue over under item is 418,000. Is that what we have available to do projects with?
The 96,000 is what you have available.
Well, we have the excess cash from,
I'm talking about the current year.
Current year, but you're right, that's equity, that's the cash up above us is $442,000.
is that pre or post?
That's
This
as
year.
of 9/30.
Okay, as of 9:30, got it.
So whatever fund balance you had going into the fiscal year, that's how much is going to be increased. Again, bear in mind, these are not audited numbers.
So back to the previous discussion, since we have $400,000 plus in the bank, I mean, we could make it much more than $2,000 promote new businesses, make it, I mean, it could be significantly
We
more.
just said 8, but yes, the answer
But you
is
understand
yes,
my point
yes.
is that we have,
Well, we need to know,
Given the stringent review that we got from trying to put up a coffee table and a pot of coffee, I'm gonna say that don't get too,
understood, yeah.
don't-
But
don't-
that's why I was.
Don't
that-
try
that's
to do
the-
too much, Barry.
that's the commercial quarter. I
I'm
mean-
fine with what you're talking
Yeah.
about. We gotta go through the process though, and the process seems to be a lightning rod that some people want to talk
Look,
about.
man,
in great
I lost an
detail.
election on this. I know exactly what you're talking about. But my point is,
Good sense of humor about it, though.
no, it's fine. These are just simply facts. We have a lot of cash sitting on hand that we should engage to the community. So I'm just saying, I don't want to limit ourselves at $2,000 per company if we can actually make a significant difference from an awareness standpoint. I mean, crazy idea, but maybe we have a billboard. I mean, I don't know.
Well, can I
I'm
make
not saying
one
that, but-
suggestion about how to get to the right number? Because you're right, we got
Yeah.
a lot more. Like maybe that number should be 25. I don't know.
Right.
But
Definitely not 26.
not 26.
Hey Barry, why don't we talk to Aaron Farmer,
That's exactly what I was
who,
gonna
you know,
Exactly.
sorry, were you going to say that, Colin?
Yeah.
Sorry.
God, jeez. No.
What, because
No, I was just saying. I think you're right. Because he's gonna know what's a typical package. What's a valuable set of activities to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we figure out what that is, and then then whatever we put in front of the council is based upon an expert.
Data.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, right, if we are truly heading towards a recession or in that, right, I mean, I think we're doing a disservice to having $500,000 of cash on hand when we should be trying to promote our businesses. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, is I just think we need
Well,
to.
in support of that, if we're an economic development corporation and we have $400,000 that we're not using, at what point do people say we don't need an RCDC because all they're doing is holding on to a bunch of cash and not doing anything with it?
Well, that's not quite where I was going. I was saying we should be more proactive.
we're waiting for a rainy day.
Right.
It's raining.
But I mean, it's raining right now.
Turn around
so-
and look out the window, Pat.
Yeah.
Okay, now that,
No, I mean, most cities have ECDC, Economic Development Council, so that's not so much my concern. It's just more, we just need to engage the dollars. I mean, they're sitting there, we need to use them.
I'm in complete agreement. We have to do it smartly because,
Right.
Cheek.
but we have to do it. Now, there's only one, we have used money in the past from this fund for, things like utility,
Yep.
extensions for businesses and hard costs that facilitated getting businesses in rather than just the promotion of businesses. And so I don't think that we use the whole $400,000 for
No.
promotion, but
No.
yeah, we need to find good ways to promote the business in Rollingwood.
Well, and also, please keep in mind that if this project to make our commercial corridor more accessible by doing some work on Edgegrove and stuff like that,
Yeah.
those are rather large expenditures.
Yeah, that's
that could
coming.
use
Understood.
400 grand.
Well, I wasn't saying we use it all right now, I'm just saying we need to.
Yeah,
Understood.
We need, you know, you're asking for an attitude adjustment, which is appropriate.
Correct.
You and Bobby are both asking for an attitude adjustment about what we do. And that has to be unfortunately done through defining projects and running them up the flagpole and watching them get shot at, et cetera, but that's part of the fun.
So I think that
I can tell you.
that also, I think that
Calendar.
brings a good suggestion though, which is, right now, we have a definitive set of projects that we're working through and really kind of the tail end of one.
Mhm.
So we should be probably bringing back some additional ideas as some homework to how to deploy some of this capital.
Because even right now, I mean, if we look at to the next year, right, with the budget that's approved and expected, inflows, we're gonna be close to what we did last year as having $100,000
yeah.
increase. I mean, not increase, but like we'll be cash flow positive. So,
I think you could be conservative and say, yes, we could have extensive edge growth expenditures and still spend another $100,000 on projects
Yeah.
and be pretty darn conservative.
well,
So that's sort of a
Pat,
mental.
do you remember? Pat, you were actually it was just us, I think here, maybe Emily also. But during COVID, we were super conservative, and then we ended up blowing through a lot of those numbers during like the first year of COVID, from a budgetary standpoint to inflow. We
Our sales have picked up tremendously.
Right.
They're just about double from pre-COVID.
So to my point, or actually Brian's point about my point, which is better said, was with an attitude adjustment.
Yeah, but
So.
if we spend the money to develop businesses like Julian Go, they're gonna generate more sales
Yeah.
tax. It's gonna benefit the city, it's gonna
Yep.
benefit us a little bit too.
Yep.
That's
the whole goal.
And that-
Didn't most of the tax increase come from the online sales tax that was being collected?
well, but that's still business.
Oh, no, I'm totally in agreement with
I
that.
don't
I'm
know.
just
I don't
thinking
know.
out loud and adjusting
Ask,
that
we're just,
if that's the case, is there something that can be done around those? Not just the brick and mortars, but I don't know.
Audit.
It's something interesting to look at, but ultimately RCDC, the mandate is to promote business, and then ultimately it is
in the park.
Thank you.
nice cycle that, as businesses do better, more money comes in,
Do more.
right.
One
But
of
we
the
don't
things
care
we
whether it's
did last,
digital or brick and mortar as long as it comes through here.
I mean, it's generating revenue that the city can use. It doesn't matter if we're benefiting one or both.
Right.
Yeah.
one of the things we did last time we met back in September, I've got notes of, that we were supposed to get some kind of a report from the retail coach about what they've done and who they're soliciting, and it seems
Yep.
to me that that's part of what we're doing here, is if something happens, maybe we can
Help
Yeah,
find
and
out. Get that
help a deal along.
I can reach out to Aaron. I'm happy to reach out to Aaron regarding that, and we can have him report back next meeting because he hasn't been here in a while. So
I think he was scheduled to show up last meeting and then got diverted and wasn't able to.
Yep.
To show, so we haven't heard a report from the retail coach effort for a while, and I'd like to get caught up on that.
all right.
Anything further?
Well, I think the other thing on that one too is I think we're, from a scope of services for next year with him, I think that might be up for review and discussion as well. So
Okay.
that'd be an opportunity for us to emphasize some of these things that we want him to be focused on.
Okay. Just tell him it's time to deliver.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned at
12:46.
12:46.
Very efficient.